Look who decided to crash the party.
Hello buddy and welcome, I'm Comodin Cam. With PROWL making a return in the latest season of Transformers Earthspark, as well as in the latest movie Transformers 1, there's no better time than any to rank everyone's favourite police officer, PROWL.
Do you mind? I'm trying to meditate.
Don't worry, we'll just work around you.
So without further ado, let's dive straight into the tier names, and first up is a quote from Generation 1.
Well, you sure had me execute a fantastic move, Chip. You think just like a regular mainframe. Thanks, PROWL.
Now for the second tier, we'll have a quote from Animated, and I just love this quote.
Fascinating.
Now for the middle tier, we'll have a quote from Robots in Disguise.
But just look at that paint job, will ya? Ain't she a beaut? Make me get out my tow bar.
Where I kinda like it, but then I don't at the same time. Now for the second lowest tier.
Prime, you shouldn't have come back for me.
Where I don't totally hate it, but it's just not that great either. Last but not least is Childhood Trauma. First up is of course Generation 1 PROWL, and I just love this design so much. It's so unique and it stands out from the rest. I much prefer the G1 cartoon than the Marvel comics, but regardless, both are really good. But I really like the G1 toy box art because the amount of detail is insane. I really want to own this Generation 1 toy, and they really didn't change all that much either when it came to translating it for the cartoon. I really enjoyed his character in the cartoon, and I'm just glad that he's getting more attention in modern cartoons. I'm just so mad that they killed him off in the 1986 movie. Now this G1 design did actually appear in Beast Machines, and ooh god, he looks like he's had Botox or something. I mean, he's dead, so it belongs there. Now moving on to Beast Wars PROWL, we have two versions of him. The Lion is the original, and the Owl is the clone. I much prefer the Lion, just because I think it looks cooler. Kind of a shame we didn't see it in the show, but when it comes to the Owl, I mean, oh my god. It's an ugly looking owl. Look at that face, it's just, ugh. Nah, I'm just not vibing with it. Alright, let's talk about 2001 RID PROWL. I don't love this design. It seems really messy in some areas, a lot of kibble. I like the vehicle mode, it's really cool, but I don't know, there's something about this design that's a bit too jarring for me. While I don't like the design all that much, I do think it suits better as blue, like when he had that upgraded scheme. Just makes it pop out a bit more and gives it a bit more colour. Now in RID they had these little spy changes, and we've got two variants of PROWL here. I mean, yeah, I hate it, but hey, it comes with its own little coffin if you want to bury it. Alright, moving on to Action Master PROWL, and if you want a mini PROWL, then I guess this is your dude. I don't really vibe with him. I do kind of like the vehicle mode a little bit, but yeah, no. Look at his eyes. He's the devil. Next up, we've got the War Within, and I absolutely love this design, especially the vehicle mode. Such a Cybertronian-like vehicle. The doors kind of serving as wings is a really nice touch for the Cybertronian mode. Alright, next up we've got both Binotech versions of PROWL, and honestly I actually kind of prefer the blue, but I think this design's just okay. The hood is a bit too big for me in this way, like it's way too wide, it's just not really that appealing. But of course this was the toy series that went for more realistic cars, and yeah, I just wish they kind of was a bit more creative with that hood. Right, next up we've got PROWL as a minicon. Yep, he's really done it all, shares absolutely no resemblance to the original whatsoever, and you know, not a bad minicon design. The head's actually kind of interesting, nice to see the wheels actually on the top. Not bad, but I can't really say it does much for me, it's just a minicon. Alright, now let's talk about Energon PROWL, and I'm kind of conflicted about this because, well, when it comes to the toy and the actual design of the show, it looks terrible. Like, I don't like the look of this toy, it's just, the proportions are off. But when you actually look at the artwork, it's a lot more fleshed out and actually looks like a solid design. So in that respect, I'll give it credit. But unfortunately, it just didn't translate well when it comes to the toy and the show. Dude looks like an imp. He's got no waist. Next up, we've got the Hearts of Steel PROWL. He had two designs. One that's, well, pretty much dead and not worth talking about. I like the horns well on that one. But then we've got the main one, which is, wow, just cool, really nice. I love how they've managed to turn a police car robot into a train. You know, I actually like how they've made the tracks as well as wings on the back. Can't say I rate the other one so highly because I really can't see so much of it. But I mean, heck, he's got, are those nipples? Alright, next up we've got Transtech PROWL. Now, I actually really like this design. This is very sleek. Even though it doesn't look like it transforms into anything, it's got more of a cyber ninja style, which obviously we'll see and talk about later on. But yeah, this is actually pretty cool. It's pretty much ninja-like. It doesn't really give me PROWL vibes, but I like the design as a whole. Very, very stealthy. That head mode as well is really cool, like making that part of his eyes. Alright, let's get some weirdos out of the way. First up, we've got the 3D battle cards PROWL. And, you know, actually, not bad. Actually, this is probably the most decent battle card I've actually seen, both robot and vehicle mode. So, to be fair, I'm going to rank it up a bit higher. But the next one is a GoBot toy. I mean, oh my god. Ugh, that vehicle mode is adorable, but his face is of the stuff of nightmares. Why are you crazy, dude? What's with the crazy eyes? Following up that, we've got the Machine Wars PROWL. We've got two versions, technically the same, but the head sculpt is a little bit different and better. I love the art. This actually looks like PROWL in his cadet days, like when he was a young kid or something. But the other one, the toy, does not do that art justice at all. Alright, now we've got these three ugly mugs. Okay, we've got the 2003 Universe PROWL, and he actually has a police hat. He looks like someone out of a Thomas the Tank Engine. The Botshot's PROWL, I mean, he just looks like a grump. Not even he's happy. And then we have the Battle Masters. Oh, come on, guys, do I really have to keep talking about these? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Alright, next up we got Transfer's Animated PROWL. We got a lot of PROWLs in Animated. He's had a lot of designs. I'm going to start out with the Cybertronian mode. I absolutely love this design. I love the wheels. It's so Cybertronian-like. It's so cool. I used to draw it a lot as a kid. I mean, the Earth mode's fine. It's cool, but I definitely favor the Cybertronian mode. But without a doubt, my favorite out of all of these has got to be the Samurai mode when he gets upgraded. I literally bought another Samurai PROWL just so he could have two wheels on both sides of his arms because it only came with one. God, I love this design so much. I was so happy he got the upgrade. Now, we'll talk about the early designs of PROWL as well. The first one is, you can tell this is just a base model, just kind of like seeing what they could do. But the alternate PROWL, which is totally different from the rest, sparks more to Generation 1. I actually really like this one a lot, and oftentimes I get conflicted between, well, I'm happy what we ended up with, but if they went with this instead, I feel like I would have been happy as well. I mean, just the detailing on his head, it looks really cool. The G1 really blends in well with the animated style. It borrows stuff from the other design that we've just seen, but they just improve on it a lot more. I mean, come on, everything Wyatt draws is just stellar. Next up, we've got the Creo PROWL, and honestly, this is cool. It's nice. I mean, his chest kind of like nipples, but still nonetheless, a really cool design. I mean, it's Creo, what more can you ask for? Next up, we've got PROWL from the movies. Now, he didn't actually appear in any of the movies, but he did get a comic adaptation, and as we can see here, this is like a protoform type body, altered with more in PROWL style, and honestly, it looks kind of cool. I mean, he does look a bit more intimidating, kind of freaky, especially in the chest area. I mean, to be honest, looking at it, his chest actually looks like a bit of an alien itself. I mean, not bad, at least it actually looks like PROWL from G1. Perhaps more like his intimidating older brother. Now, PROWL actually did get a toy in the 4th Transformers movie as a one-step changer. Pretty cool that they included him. I'm not quite sure why though. I mean, the head sculpt's kind of cool and nice, but it's just a chunky boy. I'm just going to put this one in the middle tier. Next up, we've got Q PROWL. I love these dudes, as you know already. I think this is pretty cute, and that head sculpt is amazing. He definitely, well, okay, let's not give him the highest tier, but I'll give him the 2nd tier. The next design is just absolutely amazing. This is PROWL from Fall of Cybertron, a concept design that didn't make it into the final game. Like, I would have loved to have seen this in motion and to have customized it in multiplayer. Just a really good design, vehicle and robot, so nice. Damn, if High Moon were given more time. The only thing that kind of threw me off at first is the Autobot insignia not being in the center, but to be honest, it's actually an interesting choice that they did that, a very futuristic style to it. But without a doubt, my all-time favorite PROWL design is PROWL from the Universe MMO. This design is just stellar. Every time I would come up with my own concepts of Transformers, I would always choose this design because this is what I envision in my head. I love the Prime style, but for just an MMO game, They really went all out, and I just wish we got this in the actual show. I would have easily have swapped out Smokescreen for him. Like, damn, look at those rocket missiles. Everything just blends in so well. Now, this design did get its own toy in the Beast Hunters line, and it's nice, it's cool. I just hope this design gets revisited in the future because, damn, it's just so good. Now, someone did actually do a custom on the Smokescreen design and put PROWL's parts. I believe this is by Michael Aaron Dunlap. This is obviously correcting more with the toy, more in line. This is still pretty cool. It's very nice, very different in some areas, obviously compared to the Universe MMO. But as PROWL and Smokescreen share the same design going back from Generation 1, this is a more accurate representation of how we would have seen him in the show. Next up, we've got Robots in Disguise PROWL, and oh my god, why does he look like an emoji? Oh yeah, this is for the RID game. I actually remember talking about this back in the day, and a lot of people were excited about this. Yeah, he doesn't actually appear in the show, sadly, but he did appear in the RID subline The Tiny Titans, where he was given a more accurate Generation 1 art, and this is actually really cool, really nice. I remember out of all of these Tiny Titan cards that we got, I like this one the most. Very faithful to Generation 1. I want to mention the Transformers Universe PROWL because this is one of my most sought after toys. I love the quality on this, I just love how it looks in general. Like, toys back then really came with good plastic quality, and this still holds up, I think, even today. But the next one, Combiner Wars / Forged to Fight as well. Oh god, I mean, it's definitely better than other Combiner Wars figures, but I gotta say, the Forged to Fight one makes this design look a whole lot better in animation. In toy form though, this looks pretty bland. But I will give the Forged to Fight one a bit more props because they are able to mess around more with the proportions to make everything a bit more sleek and stand out better. Next up, we've got Earth Wars PROWL. I mean, vehicle mode's really cool, but compared to his robot mode, he looks really skinny. He actually needs to gain a bit more weight, I think. You need to get to the gym, PROWL. I mean, I like his chest, it's actually really cool. But everything else is everything's a bit too thin for me. It's not really bulky enough. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't know. Let's move on. Next up, we've got the Mighty Mugs PROWL, and yeah, he looks like a toe. I mean, that face expression is kind of funny, but yeah, this is not. I don't like it. I want to apologize for all the Mighty Mugs fans out there. Now let's talk about Cyberverse PROWL, a good modern update on his original Generation 1 design. I like it. There's not really so much to say about it. There are some good extra detailing on there, some on the original toy actually making its way onto this design, on his torso and his legs, but that's really all I can say about it. It's just another updated look on the Generation 1 design. I'm just going to throw in this Cyber Battalion PROWL because it actually looks kind of different compared to his actual Cyberverse design. I mean, yeah, it's very plain, a bit boring. Not really much to say about it. I like the vehicle mode, but his robot mode, yeah, I mean, that's all there is to say about it, really. Now let's move on to the IDW PROWL. He's had a lot of different design takes. Let's talk about the first one. I mean, this dude, he's looking very robust. I mean, with the comics, they are crazy in detail, and this is just amazing. I'll give a shout out as well to these other versions of PROWL throughout the comics. He seems to have had a lot of history within the comics, a lot of different designs, especially this anti-rad armor here. Gee, it makes me more interested now in what was PROWL's story throughout the comics. I mean, we look at the 2.0 version, and the vehicle mode for that is just wow. This is really good. This is a second version of him from Robots in Disguise, and it's just absolutely badass. I love the red. The red has been scanned all across over the black. It looks really nice. God, that is just such a futuristic, like Blade Runner type of a car. I mean, we have his original sketch here, and yeah, he's even more robust. The vehicle mode on his sketch, though, actually looks pretty cool as well. Something I would expect, like in a Michael Bay movie or something. At whatever point we see PROWL again in the franchise, I hope we get to see him in that vehicle mode. Now let's go on a slight detour of PROWL's backstory in the comics. In the future, PROWL would become Dent. And honestly, I got nothing to say about this. I think this is a pretty boring design. I don't really care for this. You know, backstory wise, it's very interesting, but design wise, I don't really care for it. But then we have a design of PROWL as a Maximal in his original body on Antilla. That looks a lot better, to be honest. Honestly, as designs, they're pretty plain, pretty basic. Not bad either, though, for a backstory of PROWL. Now let's talk about the War for Cybertron Siege PROWL. And you know, this design is fine, but I'm just not a fan of those hollow legs, the clear plastic. It's a very weak figure for me. But I think everything from the top is actually pretty good. I mean, it's PROWL, am I right? I mean, the Autobot insignia is pushed to the side instead of being at the front. I'm more of a keep the insignia in the middle kind of guy, but still their head sculpt is actually pretty cool. I guess I was hoping for more of a Cybertronian mode, but at the end of the day, it's not that bad of a design. One thing I don't like, however, is the Shadow Glass version, just because. Alright, next up we have Angry Birds PROWL. Well, this is jarring. The three heads really do throw you off, but I get why they did this. It's a reference to, of course, Smokescreen and Bluestreak, you know, because they share the same design. I get that, but it still doesn't make this design less weird. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said I hated it, but now there's some sort of charm in it for me. I just kind of accept this dude for what he is, and they actually got the body design right. You know, that's the thing. This design is cool still in terms of its vehicle mode. Like, it plays well, it looks nice, but yeah, I mean, it gives me nightmares. If he was my friend, I wouldn't stop staring at him. Now moving on to his recent incarnation in Transformers Earthspark, I'm just so glad they brought back this Generation 1 design and just modernized it. He looks so cool and badass. It's such a shame that Takara cancelled their original toy for this guy because, well, what we got was a Hot Rod knockoff. I would have brought this as well. It's a shame that this design will never get a toy form that is like an accurate depiction of it. One can only hope in the future that this gets released again. I really do like the robot mode, but the vehicle mode, I don't know, I think it's a bit too flashy for me. I still think it's absolutely slick and badass, but I would have just liked the police headlights on the top, but it's not necessarily an Earth police car, it's more like a Cybertronian one. Now moving on to Transformers 1, and I'm just glad that PROWL is in a movie. You know, here's hoping that they make a sequel, that we get to see a better design from what we get. I mean, a minor mode is a minor mode, you know, they are lacking that full cog transformation, so I can't really hate on this so much because, well, the plot has given a reason why it's not got a lot of expression, a lot of character, because that character was robbed from them. But at the end of the film, when Optimus Prime unleashes the Matrix and they get all their cogs, we do briefly see PROWL in the background get a cog, and his design is, well, I'm a bit mixed. I get it, he's not a Cybertronian police officer yet, so that makes sense why he looks plain. At first I thought this was Brawn, but actually no, Brawn gets his cog right over there, so this is just the same body type as Bumblebee movie Brawn. At least it's a bit of a mix of that. While I do like it, I do think they need to change it up a bit for the sequel. Now it's time to talk about some fan art because I like to celebrate all the great fan art out there, and starting off we have Maxa Alpha's 26th version of PROWL, and I really like this. It kind of incorporates the G1 PROWL and the Transformers animated PROWL really well. I like how he's stylized, I like the use of the gold there mixed in with the white, just looks really cool, and that battle mask as well is really nicely detailed. Yeah, I just love this. It's a great combination of both worlds, and it's a really fantastic artwork, and it's a really fantastic design. Next up is kind of a revision on Transformers Animated's early design. This is by DC Josh, and wow, just so epic. I love DC Josh's work. His art style is just stellar. You know, he's actually drawing for the comics now. Such great, fantastic art. You know, this rendition of PROWL is just so badass and cool. Really incorporates that samurai with the Transformers Animated, with the Generation 1, with the police style. God, I hope we get a toy of this someday. Now, I wasn't going to include it at first, but I felt like I just had to because I know a lot of people would want me to mention it. We have a head sketch of Transformers Prime's version of TFA PROWL by Do Hong. Now, this came out in 2011, and this, along with his other art, is just amazing. Every time I see this art, I just wish we got to see the full body. Just so amazing. I love how his crevice at the top is like halfway met. Kind of shows that this PROWL has a lot of history. A good reinterpretation of PROWL in Transformers Animated, so I felt like I just had to give it a shout out even though it is just a head. And there we have it guys, every PROWL design ranked from worst to best. And it really is hard to pick my favourite PROWL design, but I've got to go with the Universe MMO. To me, that is just spot on perfect. Like, I really want a Studio Series toy of this figure someday. If they're doing the Gamer Edition line, I hope they do the Universe MMOs because they had a lot of fantastic designs. Of course, as always, let me know what your favourite PROWL design is in the comment section below. I'll be doing more updates to previous characters that I've covered. I wanted to do PROWL because the timing was just right for Season 3 of Transformers Earthspark. And what can I say? I love PROWL. Of course, let me know in the comments which character you want me to cover next. Expect a lot of updates from previous characters like I've mentioned, with just better editing and better recordings, etc. I think the next big character I'm going to do is Starscream, so definitely stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. I've been Comodin Cam, and until next time, goodbye.